with how big the conversation got then, shouldn't we have known with all the advances in AI and smartphones and all technology, it's great when it works. That's the saying, right?
The fear was on January 1st of 2000, the computer would flip back over. It wouldn't go to 2000, it would go back to 1900, and it would launch nuclear bombs, and it would make airplanes fall from the sky. All
How
out world war would happen because of this.
this is like the worst case of pass it down the lane ever played.
It's it's weird. You're singing along, and I'm not getting anything. It's almost as if we've got a computer bug or
Oh
something
no.
going on.
I thought we were beyond that. Is
I
that not
thought
the
we were too. Not, why are we having these issues?
25 years later and we're still having computer bugs,
You
computer
mean to
glitches and
tell
crashes?
me that when this great topic we're going to talk about Y2K, you mean when it was over, we still have computer bugs?
Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? Technology, didn't we learn then if with how big the conversation got then, shouldn't we have known with all the advances in AI and smartphones and all technology, it's great when it works. That's the
Yeah,
saying, right?
yeah, too funny. What a way to start it.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah,
But here we are, Doug Marsh and Rob Stott here on the Twisted Arrows podcast, and season three. We'll call it the finale of season three, and we
yeah,
get to
yeah,
do
and
so on a really cool note and at a really cool time. Really bringing to like three seasons in a calendar year, essentially. So I
yes,
like this.
that's
See
incredible.
what we
It's
did?
like, yes, that's exactly what we did, and technically, this is you're hearing this on Happy New
Happy New
Year
Year.
2025. Hopefully, there was no nuclear war last night, or no whatever
All of our
whatever
systems
was supposed.
stayed up and
Yeah,
running.
all the computer airplanes aren't falling from the sky, and as I say this crazy stuff, that's exactly what we're going to talk about
We were
today.
so afraid of it at the time.
I mean,
25 years since the
yeah,
year 2000.
it's been 25 years since the whole Y2K thing. It's funny as an older generation person, when you search Y2K now, it doesn't come up with Y2K. From what I know, Y2K, there's been some other Y2K that has now, I don't know if it's a brand or something, but yeah,
Yeah, this is like horror movie. Yeah, like
there's a horror movie
yeah.
Y2K, but there's like some sort of brand that is named Y2K. That's what I got because I was like, this is not what I consider to be Y2K. So I am
Oh
old
yeah, it's
man.
okay, here we go. Amazon. It's got a well,
Um,
there's some unique attire.
exactly. So
It's a clothing brand
it's a
or
clothing
accessories
brand.
or
Yeah,
I
I'm
almost
old
feel like
man yelling at clouds. Where's my Y2K at? I don't
right. I
know what
feel like
this
I'm
is.
walking into like a mall in like the early nine or 2000s or like an
Yes,
aero pastel type of deal here. I don't know what I'm looking
exactly.
at.
Yeah.
Hot
So needless
topic,
to
if you will.
it's kind of got a hot topic feel. So needless to say, yeah, that was not what I was expecting when I searched Y2K. So anyway, they call it now in the modern vernacular the millennium bug, which as someone who lived through that, I had never heard the term millennium bug. I had always heard it as Y2K. So that was weird for me. But
And now, so like couple ways my head goes when I hear that word. One, it's very close to the word millennium or millennium. Yeah, like the right the word
millennial.
millennial, right? Like what I am, my generation.
Exactly.
But which also around that time, I think of a certain Backstreet Boys album that was called Millennium. I think it came out around that time, like a 2000s or like late 1999, something like that. Um, but I Want It That Way is where that was born in a song they continue to sing to this day
There
as
you go.
the last reigning boy band.
I'm going to say that's a millennium bug, is what that is.
Hey, leave Nick
Sorry.
Carter alone.
Sorry.
Oh,
But
geez.
and how old were you in the when 2000?
That would have been 12. I would have been 12, not
So
11, 12. Yeah.
so just as a we're rambling as if everybody knows this, but uh, back when computers are first being programmed, I think
Hmm.
even like as far back into the 60s, maybe, when software was on these huge, reel to reel wheels and all that stuff, they were trying to save space because space has always been an issue with technology. It just
Yep.
is, still to this day.
There's an entire show, Silicon Valley, about
Mhm.
trying to optimize the space of things, right?
Space, exactly. And to save space back in the 60s and 70s, they decided, you know what? Let's just have 6 digits when we put in the date. Two for the month, two for the day, and two for the year, because the year 2000 was never going to show up, right?
Yeah, we weren't gonna
So
get
we'll
there.
just have, you know, and I think I've seen something. It went back into like 1970. A programmer came out and said, "Hey, you know what? This could be an issue in 30 years." And they were like, "That's 30 years, man. Nothing's
Not
gonna
our
happen.
problem.
Not
It's
our
the next
problem."
generation's problem.
You use the term, "We're gonna kick the can down the road," and let the next group worry with it. And then come to find out, I think there was like a 1994 article that came out like, "Hey, by the way,
This is coming.
we are coming to," and they hyped up the whole Armageddon aspect of what could happen. But in its simplest form, we had computers by that point in time running everything from power plants to nuclear stations to obviously transportation with airplanes, buses, you name it. And they were all running this old software. And the fear was on January 1st of 2000, the computer would flip back over. It wouldn't go to 2000, it would go back to 1900, and it would think something weird had happened, and it would launch nuclear bombs, and it would make airplanes fall from the sky, and all
How
out world war would happen because of this.
how did we get there? Like, who told a story? Who let it spin so far? This is like the worst case of pass it down the lane ever played.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's all I can think of is that someone said something to someone who then said it to X percent of other people, and all of a sudden, before you know it, what was a simple like potential computer glitch
Hmm.
turned into a massive "the world's going to end" situation.
World is going to end. Yes, and as somebody, I was uh 26 as this turned in, and height of like right in the middle of my life, essentially, as for right now. And I can remember this being such a huge deal. And I'll tell a personal story here. We've got lots of things we're going to talk about, but this is a straight up real personal story in that at the time I was working for a major airline who
Oh,
had built purpose driven software. They had built software for their company, and it was not transferable to other companies. It was theirs because they
mhm.
never ever envisioned having to share or anything like that. And they found out that their software was not compatible. So they had to go to a competing airline and buy their software.
Oof.
Well, the funniest thing was that their software had been built like in the 70s. The company I was working with software had been built in the 90s. So when they brought this new software to us, it was green screen, man. It was like DOS type based stuff with the
Wow.
commands. It was like you had traveled back in time, and there's no telling what our airline paid this airline for their software to be able to do this.
An early glimpse at what would it would look like if software just happened to, fall backwards in
That's
time.
exactly
Did your
right.
airplanes fall out of the sky as you were
Airplanes
upgrading?
did not
Downgrading,
fall.
really?
Yeah, it was an ultimate downgrade. It's funny. Those two airlines now are one. They did
Mhm.
eventually merge, so they bought their software and then merged with them. But I can't imagine they're still using the same. archaic software that they had bought from them for
Have you ever
probably a
stood in
gazillion
line
dollars.
at the customer service counters for these? It wouldn't surprise me.
You're right. They hold on. I'm gonna go back
Seeing how
there.
things go.
Function 6 in the green, and you would have
Oh,
these random codes that you would have to type in. So, needless to say,
check-in
that,
lines take hours, so there's no way that no, I jest, of course, but
but
um, so
but
well,
yeah,
you were at the front lines of this situation then, like as this was going
essentially,
on.
yes.
How much of it was like, were you getting alerts from the corporate office, like, hey, we're aware of Y2K.
Hmm.
This is what could potentially happen. Here's what our did they have a like a risk management plan in place in
Uh,
case something did?
I think we actually came in on that morning just to make sure for like half a day, that everything was good, and it did. Nothing happened for our company. Um, but I believe as somebody weird, I've been working tied to retail my whole life. I've never worked holidays. I've just
Yeah.
had that. But that particular day, I think we did come in just to make sure on the first, just to make sure everything was good. But yeah, you know, from my experience, all I saw was a lot of wasted money for
Well,
for
we'll get
old
to
technology. So,
we'll
but
get to some other dollars spent around this too, but like my head on this too. Like, was there, you're working at an airport. Was there a lot of media attention at the
so
airport
I
and
was
like
not at
coverage?
the airport. I
Okay,
was at a corporate office of the
gotcha,
airport.
gotcha.
Hmm.
Well, were I have to imagine colleagues that at the airport, like was there media
Yes.
attention at the airport?
I'm pretty sure there was media attention everywhere,
Everywhere, yeah.
and that were related to that sort of stuff. Because number one, it's a huge. I mean, I think the whole Christmas season is a huge travel. Your parks, your Disney's, and stuff like that. I think that's the
Yeah,
biggest travel time of the year. So then you throw in, oh yeah, the plane software may just crap out in the
right.
middle of the flight and just crash. You had a lot of media attention on that sort of stuff. But
Were you at all personally like afraid of that? Like as a 12-year-old, I can't, still young at the time, can't really conceptualize the end of the world at
yeah,
12 years old and what that might be like. But 26,
so
worldviews are being shaped or
it
have been
is.
shaped.
I tried to go put myself back. So I got married on December the 4th. So I had been married right at 4 weeks. You know,
This is
20,
very
20,
early on.
yeah,
You wanted to get
20,
it in before
20,
2000, just in case.
exactly. So I'd been married for 27 days at that point in time. And somebody had given us some champagne. I'm not a big champagne fan, but I love the idea of champagne at sporting events when they win. So we got together, very small, me, my new bride, her sister, my brother-in-law, and we wanted to explode this thing at midnight. And so I have pictures of me at midnight, shaking and exploding. And I don't seem to care at all about, what was going on
Hey,
in the world.
if planes were gonna fall and
They were going to
explosions were gonna
fall.
happen around you, then you were gonna
Right.
have one yourself. So,
You know, for the last 6 months, I'd been trying to learn an archaic software system. So I was told that everything was going to be okay.
wow,
But I
that's
always thought
wild.
that was so funny. We had to go in the past to fix a problem that was future. Uh,
Yeah,
yep.
it's weird.
It was very weird. And needless to say, I was with the company for about 2.5 more months. And I was gone.
Got out of there fast.
I did. I
Oh
did. But
man.
no, it was that's my Y2K experience is going through this, and still to this day, I'm like, I guess there's a reason companies don't make it when you
Yeah.
spend fortune to
Yeah. It's wild.
upgrade everything.
I For me, what, I'm sixth or seventh grade at that point.
Hmm.
So still young. We had computer classes. I was probably like typing on Mavis Beacon to learn how to, keep my hands positioned on a keyboard with the bumps on the F and the J
Nice.
keys and move on,
Yes.
right? Like that's where I was. I don't remember school computers having issues. I remember the discussion around it.
Hmm.
And Y2K being a thing, and Al Gore probably was partly to blame for some of it in some way or what have you with the
Hmm.
internet. But like I don't recall much of an issue, you know, impacting me, my life, anything like that. There was at that point I'm staying up at late at night to see the ball drop and everything,
Sure.
watch it and all that good stuff. And like waiting for it, like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then time kind of just kept moving. So
Kept moving.
it didn't stop at all. There weren't any issues. I didn't see, the screens didn't black out on the TV, and um, Dick Clark was still singing, and I don't Jenny McCarthy wasn't there at that point, but
No, but I believe they
very
had a
different world.
special edition ball because it was the year 2000, and
They
it
did.
was a gazillion dollars that they
Yeah, it was
spent on that.
crazy. Um,
But
but like life went on. It
it
was just
did.
the next thing.
You and I love pop culture,
Yeah.
movies, TV shows, sports, all that stuff. And Twisted Arrows has always been built around a lot of pop culture knowledge. And I thought it was awesome to go back and look at what the pop culture world looked like leading up. And to be honest, a lot of times our views our memories and views are based around
Hmm.
movies, TV shows. That's what we remember.
Yep.
And all these were really pushing yeah, the world is ending, all
It
this
was like
stuff.
it was like a very if you relate it to something today, it's like anything that goes viral trying
Mhm.
to this was like what probably a very early instance of something going viral.
And yeah,
In like the positive sense of the word, even though it was about a virus and, and all that sort of stuff, right?
but
But like everyone you see something happen today, everyone tries to imitate it or mimic
sure.
it or fold it into some conversation or uh commercial or what have you, advertise like there's it happens. This was a
Mhm.
very early example of that, and there you found some good stuff.
Well, yeah, I did, but you mentioned something about going viral in a good way. There was a bad aspect to it as well because you had folks that bought all the food and water and guns and generators and
Yeah,
gas and taking money out of the banks because the bank is gonna
that's right. Banks are gonna hold
so
your money, not be able to. Oh
yes,
gosh,
you had some
cash
full
back
on
under the pillowcase.
yeah, apocalyptic type stuff going on as well, and then and that's as we lead in, you see that in the pop culture of the time, but the first thing that really pops up, and it wasn't even that big a deal until it got closer, was Prince's iconic song 1999. It actually comes out in 1982. He wrote it 18,
Yeah.
17 and a half years before it. But the running story that Prince told, who knows if this is true or not, was that there's a line in the song that says, "I was dreaming when I wrote this, so forgive me if it goes too fast." Well, he claimed that he had a dream because he had watched a documentary on Nostradamus, which Nostradamus is a fascinating guy too, who wrote a bunch of future. He predicted the future a lot of times in these quatrains and stuff like that, and you can find little bits and pieces in what he wrote that is real. And so Prince had watched this documentary, and he woke up from the dream, and he wrote down everything, and it was the sky's all purple and people running everywhere. They were trying to run from the destruction, and 2000 party over. You're out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999. All these things, and at the time it was just a hit, just a song. But as they got closer, like, wait a minute, what is he? Were you predicting that this is what's really going to happen? There's a line in there that says, "War is all around us." And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So it was a song that just it's like I say, a simple pop song that was genius because it never went away. It led all the way up to there, and then everyone's like, "Well, was he predicting all this Y2K crap?"
He had a direct feed into
He
Nostradamus and
did.
what
He
was
had
going on.
he
It
was
was
going
just
straight into Nostradamus, but um, on the um, on the TV side, Family Guy's still on still doing his thing. It was very early in its run, and it has an episode called "Da Boom," where, of course, Peter makes the family sit in, I think, hazmat suits because they're not going to the party. And, immediately nothing happens. And then the next thing you know, the full nuclear holocaust happens.
yep.
They live in this new society and all this stuff. That's a crazy, crazy episode. And, the Simpsons have always been amazing at predicting the future.
Yep.
And their version, was not a full-length episode. I believe it was a short.
It was one of the tree houses,
It
wasn't
was
it? Like
it
Treehouse
was
of
one of
Horror.
the yes, and it was
Yeah.
perfect because Homer worked at a nuclear power plant, and he was the software guy who was supposed to update all their software. And of course, Homer didn't, and so everybody else did. And when it got theirs, his infected everybody else, and so of course we have nuclear meltdown thanks to Homer. You have again, these are all cartoons, but King of the Hill has a great
Oh
Millennium
goodness.
episode. With you know uh, the whole crew. They're celebrating Christmas, but they're preparing for the end of civilization. So you have all these,
God.
these great, and these stories are, they're all out there. You Hulu or Disney Plus, you can go
Yeah.
watch these, and you get an idea of what was going on at the time. But the one that's still near and dear, and you may not even realize because it's got a throwaway line in it, but it's Office Space. And Office Space is this iconic, cult movie that so many people can name lines and their favorite parts and all this
Hmm.
great stuff. But at the end of the day, he is essentially fixing the problem. That's what they're doing at Initech.
Yeah, what do you do there?
I sit in a cubicle and I update bank software for the 2000 switch.
What's that?
Well, see, they wrote all this bank software, and to save space, they used 2 digits for the date instead of 4, so like 98 instead of 1998. So I go through these thousands of lines of code, and it doesn't really matter. I don't like my job, and I don't think I'm gonna go anymore.
Literally what they were
The
doing.
premise of
And
the movie.
yes, is that's why they were working at Initech, and they're all going to get fired because they're not going to be needed anymore because they're going to fix the problem, and they're going to go
Move
forward.
on.
But yeah, that one movie was he shot that in '98, I think, and so it came out in early '99. Most people don't see it until later when it comes out on video, and that's when it really
Right.
it starts its cult like status.
It's
But so you've
incredible.
got you got these amazing TV shows, you got this movie, and then the psychotic. It was great. Rob being 12
Yeah,
had
right.
never you had never seen this ad, right? The
No.
the Nike
Yeah.
the Nike morning after ad, and I don't think it showed very long because it's not very sensitive to the issue,
No, it's
but
like what you think about positive like Budweiser beer ads today with the
yeah,
dog and horse and
yes, but
that sort of thing. But no, this is kind
this
of
really
polar
is
opposite.
not. And what's funny is you go back, he's running, and it's like the principal aspect of the commercial is that runners don't care if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's hot, if it's cold, you run. If you are a runner, that's what you do. You get up every day and you go run. And so he gets up on Jan 1 with he's hungover. He grabs the aspirin, and you see a tank go by him. And
Yep.
next thing you know, he's running, and the bank is spitting out
Yeah.
money, and there's planes crashing.
Oh.
There's a nuclear bomb that comes by him, a missile that eventually comes by him at the end, and he passes another guy running. It's like, hey, what's up, buddy?
Right. Right.
It is so crazy, but it wins. I didn't even know this was a thing, but it wins the primetime Emmy for best commercial in the
That's incredible.
following year. It is.
Well,
It,
that's on par, and it like the first thing that comes to mind when I think about watching that ad and what the makeup of it is like Apple's 1984.
again,
Like
yes,
very dark and mysterious, but all about like a piece of technology because it's Apple's new computer, right? It's like break
yes,
out of the mold of like all these just sort of just like I don't even know what to call it, like corporate looking computers and just be fun with
yes.
that like that was kind of the message of it, right? And that has the same sort of feel to it where it's like
Hmm.
we're going to take this very serious topic and play it in a very dark and
Very
disturbing
dark.
way but a very light with like a lighthearted message or
Hey,
product, right? Like
I don't even know. I'm not in that world anymore, but just do it was still their slogan. And that's the whole idea of it didn't matter that the world was coming to an end, get out and run and just
just
do it,
run.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go run.
But the really interesting thing about that commercial was it was directed by a guy named Spike Jones. And Spike Jones had started with like I think skateboard videos and BMW video,
BMX.
BMX
Yeah.
videos,
Yep.
and that got him into the music video world. And he does the iconic Fat Boy Slim "Praise
Oh
You."
yeah,
He's
yeah.
the one. He that's his idea. He's dancing, and he shot that video, and it got him these these roles. And so he directs his first movie that comes out, I think, October of '99. It's called Being John Malkovich. If you've never seen Being John Malkovich, it's
Oh,
weird as all get out, but it is amazing. It holds up well. It's a great movie. But at the same time, he was asked to be in a, he wasn't an actor, but he was asked to play a role in this incredible Gulf War movie called Three Kings,
hmm.
which was David O. Russell, and he's awesome in it. It comes out 3 weeks after the Being John Malkovich had come out, and then 4 weeks later, this commercial comes out. So over the
It's quite
course
the
of like
run.
6 weeks, this dude has his first movie, which is nominated. He's nominated for an Oscar for Best Director. He then stars in this Three Kings, which, like I say, most people probably don't remember. It's great. It's George Clooney. It's Mark Wahlberg. It's a really good movie. And then he does this iconic commercial that gets, an Emmy for Best Commercial over the course of the 6 weeks.
That's
And then he
wild.
doesn't do much else after that. He's only, I think he directs maybe three other feature films. He still does some music videos. He got involved with Johnny Knoxville and the
I was gonna
Jackass
say, do you know
crew.
what he has a credit in?
Yeah,
It's the Jackass crew.
he produced
Yeah,
most of those things, but
Jackass and Jackass Forever. All the
yes, it's all
Jackasses.
of them. That's what he got.
Wow.
It's so weird. But if randomly he'll pop up. I love Moneyball, which was Michael Lewis's
Yep.
book about baseball. But he is the new spouse of Brad Pitt's wife.
Okay.
He's her new husband, and he's just sitting there on the couch like Spike Jones is sitting here randomly in this movie. But that's who did this crazy
Also,
Nike
his
commercial.
name's attached to her.
Yes, that's one of these
Co-produced by
more
him. Like again, that
more modern
again
movies.
feels like if he,
That's a
AI,
weird one
the early
too.
look at
Yes.
AI and Siri, right? It's just
Yes.
that is that his niche
It's
is like
got to be.
technology and bugs and like doomsday sort of
And
feelings around
skateboards
things.
and BMX,
Right?
stuff. Yeah. And doing
Interesting.
crazy pranks on camera.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Interest or dancing randomly in front of a theater for for
Right.
a DJ song, right?
Oh my God. Or
But yet
like Bad Grandpa. Like wasn't that a spin-off in Knoxville? Like where
could have been.
I don't know if he was involved in those, but like
But
that's what I
but
think
it's
of
it's
in,
just like, yeah, you got these artistic movies, these music
and
videos,
then
and then
those.
Jackass, you know?
Well, I don't, you mentioned it, right? I'm
Hmm.
young at the time, and I like my pop culture pulls from the Millennium era are, Millennium with the Backstreet
Hmm.
Boys, which we already talked about, but randomly, and it took some digging, but
Hmm.
there's a movie, a Schwarzenegger movie, that we were talking about that, it 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 it's such a random factoid throughout it, but like End of Days was the movie, and it's based around this premise that like 1999 was, and it comes out, I want to say at the end of 99, like about November, December.
Hmm.
So it released for this moment, right? So like very horror sort of rated film. And,
Hmm.
um, the idea that 1999 is the year of the devil because 99 is 666 flipped on its head. So not a very popular movie. So it didn't score very well. I think you pulled the number. It's 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It
I think
is, and
that's certified rotten.
it's certified rotten. And as
Yeah.
someone who is very up on their pop culture from that era, because that's what I consider my era, never seen it.
Yeah.
Did not know this was the premise. But yeah, it fit in perfectly. If you were to time travel back, I want to say October of '99, those 3 months, everything that I've mentioned, that you mentioned in the
Yeah.
pop culture world, on TV, in movies, that was what was going on. So
Right.
there's no wonder the entire, society is like, oh yeah, it's over,
Right.
because that's
Like this is
all
we're
anybody was.
celebrating now. We're getting all our workout and everything
Yes,
we're gonna write and do and produce and star it. Like this is all gonna be just about
it's gone.
yeah, I had fun. This was a great
Yes,
time.
yes. Yeah.
Not computer bug related, but it
Mhm.
remind. Do you remember or recall at all the discussion around or the fear around the year 2012, and like that was going to be the year Jesus comes
Yeah.
back and the world ends and like we're all
I
called and
I
that sort of
definitely
thing?
remember some sort of something. I think there was even a movie as well called 2012, if I'm not mistaken. But
I could look it up. I'm sure there
yeah,
was. But
but
that's
no,
like a. I remember randomly, thinking about bugs and end of world situation. There is a movie
yeah,
2012. There you go. Um, but the John Cusack is in that movie and Woody Harrelson. There you go.
yeah.
Um, there for whatever reason, I remember like a kid in elementary school, and this was around. So it must have been around the 1999 time.
Hmm.
Um, or like switching over into 2000 was like we had a discussion around this, or it was like during weather, and he was like, "Yeah, in 2012 we're gonna hit the sun, like the sun's just gonna engulf the earth." So like for the next 12 years, I'm sitting here like concerned about my life, and then 2012 comes and it never happens. Another one of those moments. But
Yeah. Oh. Now I remember the Mayan calendar. It
yeah,
didn't
that's what
go
it was.
past
That's
that
what
date.
I was trying to remember why
That's it.
2012. The Mayan calendar did not. That's when
It
it ended.
it ended. It
Yeah.
ended on December the 21st of 2012, and that was going to be it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had so many moments of these, like the world's gonna end, and it just
Yes.
we seem to keep persisting
Keeps
through.
going.
Like,
Keeps
you know,
going. If the world
oh,
is going to end, you're not going to know about it.
no,
It's the whole
it's
idea
gonna happen.
of not being aware of it. If you think you know when it's going to happen, it ain't going to happen. But
Yeah, and if it does,
uh,
like, would you want like Independence Day style world ending or like day after tomorrow? Like, what's your what would you want to experience?
yeah, I'm gonna go.
Or is it like Cloverfield?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote Alderaan. I'm gonna vote 10 seconds of what is that, and
Huh.
then whammo.
I love it.
So
Man,
I didn't don't want to live in you know what is it, mass chaos,
yep.
anarchic type times,
Or
it
aliens
was,
coming to a it's
or
a
aliens coming and taking you over. Yes,
no,
yes. So,
just
but
like
yeah,
one
though
clean swipe, one fell
just
swoop, it's just
it's like the
done.
guillotine, right? Just
Oh, lights out.
yeah. But and we joke because none of this happened.
Right.
But for the 5 years before this, as I
It was
saw with my actual company, uh, there was unreal amounts of money, time, effort, you name it, spent to protect us against what was perceived to going to be happening.
as the
And
biggest technological threat we've ever
it,
faced.
absolutely, man. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, the numbers are, they're not 100% sure because how many companies like mine went out and bought some other technology? They don't know, but they've estimated it at the time in $2,000 about $300 billion, which
Hmm.
I think today would be, what is that, 550 billion?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
but that's just actual cost of preparation. That's just buying software and paying me to be there on an extra day, or you name it. Just in extra income that we had to spend to prepare ourselves because what is it, 35, 40 years earlier, they were trying to save just a touch of space,
It's just
where
two characters.
can we save some space? Well, I got two
Two
characters I can
characters.
save because it's never going to be 2000, right? In 1965 when we were writing this code out, we're never going to have to worry about that. But yeah, let's see here. I think they said the U.S. alone spent 135, billion, which would be like 245, 250 billion today. And
And this isn't even considering like the government spent time, right? Researching it and looking into it. I think they
yep,
had some, I'm reading here in 1990, October 98, US government passed the year 2000 Information and Readiness Disclosure Act, which the purpose of that act was to encourage companies to share information about the status of their year 2000 compliance efforts. And it
Wow.
provided protection against false compliance statements, limited liability for companies issuing year 2000 readiness disclosures.
Wow.
UN got involved. They convened an international conference on Y2K for its members to share information and report on remediation efforts. It's like this was a big deal.
It was
It
massive.
was a big deal.
It was massive. And I was trying to sit there and like, twisted arrows we like to look at in the past and in the modern era and where, what could we have that would be even remotely this? And obviously we still have computer issues
Yeah.
constantly, you know. Um I just,
I mean,
I
you could start with this. Like this technically has been in like they kicked the can down the road again
they
in 2000, right?
keep kicking it
So
down.
so like I in doing a little bit of research for this
Mhm.
come across which I didn't even obviously it never gets to the level of awareness or infamy, if you will, as
Mhm.
Y2K. But 2020, there were some issues, across certain industries and I guess software where dates got mixed up again. I don't know if it had to do with like 20 being duplicated or something like that, but
Mhm.
whatever can was kicked then like resulted in some things happening in 2020, and then there was concern. So I was reading that there was concern for the year 2038,
Mhm.
because again, that can was proverbially kicked down the road, and there was some talk about Linux systems running out of space or something
Their
along those
clock is
lines.
going to end. Their clock
Right.
will not go
So
past
their Mayan calendar ends in 2038.
yes.
The Linux calendar ends in 2038. But from digging a little bit deeper there, someone's already provided a fix for that. So like these things, I think the next time I was reading, the next time it could become an issue is in like the year 2400 and something.
Gotcha.
So like clearly we don't have to worry about it. I hope just someone documents for 400 years from now, that those people, whoever's dealing with it, listening to this podcast, we warned you.
We told you.
We warned
You
you.
know,
You had 400 years to get ready
you
for
had
it.
time to
So,
prepare.
but it's one of those things where it's just like, I is that our way of approaching society and life is just to band-aid things until that is like
Absolutely.
to fall off and happen again. It's just I don't understand it. Like why?
It's it's history. History always repeats itself.
Yep.
There's nothing new.
No. What's old is new.
It absolutely is. But like if we were to obviously there is no Y to 2025. We're 25 years past, but there are modern issues that we deal with that may not
Oh,
be as I
man.
don't
I mean,
know.
if you look at I don't know if this is where you're heading, but
Yeah.
cybersecurity in general,
Yes.
like the industry that cybersecurity is, and
Yes.
I think back to our time spent together and like specifically the retail
Hmm.
space, like it is a massive challenge. And I mean, cybersecurity has always been an issue,
Hmm.
and like it should be top of mind. But I was looking, and we're coming off. We're December as we're sitting here talking, recording this. 2 months ago was cyber to the point now, people, where October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. If whether you knew that or not, there is an entire month dedicated to raising awareness around cybersecurity, which is ironic in itself because it's an issue that ought to be talked about
Hmm.
all year long, not just for some random reason in October. I don't know if that's like a more popular month for hackers to go out and try to, I get maybe in the run up to Black Friday, they're trying to,
Maybe.
scrape customer
Yes.
data. I don't know. So it's like, let's get ahead of it before Black Friday. But it is a $12.5 billion industry right now. That's the estimated monetary damage caused by cyber crimes in 2023.
Mhm.
So I mean, it is I think it's in the trillions if you talk about the so like when I say damages, that's how much to fix and get back up and running, things like that.
Right.
If you're talking about companies big and small and what they're asked to ransomware, right? So like your
Hmm.
system gets hacked,
Right.
your data
Yeah.
gets compromised, and in order to get it back, you are asked to pay a ransom for
Yes.
that software. That if you look at that aspect of it, I'm pretty sure I don't have the number in front of me, but I'll confirm it. It's like a $9 trillion industry. In terms of like what bad actors, whether they're individuals or like Russian organized crime units or something
Hmm.
along those lines to go into these systems. Like it is a massive, massive industry.
Yeah, I was thinking, obviously Y2K turned out to be, nothing. But, at the time it was building, yeah, the world's going to end and and all this, but it doesn't really turn out to anything. But you talk about ransomware. It was, I think we're going on, was it May of 2021, where the Russians hacked into our East Coast pipeline and shut
Hmm.
down our
Yep,
oil production,
sure
and
did.
and it our essentially on the East Coast we were short of oil for, gosh, it took like 10 days to catch back up. Where I never experienced anything
Mm-mm.
like that in my entire life. Where you like, who's got gas? Where can we go? I mean, it was like, what? That's
Was
a
there
legit.
one other instance of that where like I remember people lining up? This would have been, I don't know if I would have been around for this, but like in the 70s or
Oh yeah,
80s,
yeah, yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, when they cut production of gas,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But like
That,
people
yeah,
lined up, but that was a choice. This
yeah.
wasn't a
But that
we
that's
got hacked and forced
and that's
to.
pre me. So I
Yeah.
don't know that one, but I do know the idea of, wait a minute, wait, what do you mean we don't have any gas? Because somebody came in, and they want $1 gazillion to turn it back on to give you your computer system
Wild.
back, and like, how is this possible? You know. So, when we talk about, the different eras, we look back on Y2K and chuckle now. Yeah, that was, nothing really happened. But when we talk about modern stuff, of where you literally shut down the East Coast
Yeah.
there for over a week because of that crap.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like,
insane.
that's way, granted, nuclear war would have been bad, but that was never going to happen. You know.
Although a cyber attack could end up resulting in
It
nuclear war at this
There
rate
you
with
go. It
how it
could,
happens. I mean,
but
we hear about it all the time too, right? Like the it's less a cyber attack and more like technology being used to influence elections or
sure,
right.
that's
So
another.
like those
That's
things
that's
happen.
awful too, to where you could sit there and control
Yeah,
society.
right. Can create a ton of bots to just like randomly comment on things
Yes,
and provide, you know, uh, unfiltered context into a discussion around, political issues or what have you. And it's
yes.
just like, it's gotten scary.
It has
It's
the whole
gotten scary.
privacy that you
Yeah.
you feel like everything you do is is followed. You can't do anything anymore online that know that everything is being tracked. Everything you do. The
Hmm.
whole idea of fishing has gotten incredible.
Yeah.
Where you truly mimic, anything you want to try to get you. Um,
Oh, uh, I think of you say fishing. There's like they have multiple versions of fishing now too, where it's like they have like bulk fishing or vishing or like they have different terminology for different types. So like vishing would be video
oh yeah,
fishing where
yeah,
like with AI and you think of deep fakes and like aid
yeah.
your ability to create videos that look some of my favorite are actually more recently talk about politics. They've got like Joe Biden and Donald Trump hanging out and they're like walking
Yes.
around eating ice cream, going on dates, things like that,
Wow.
right? So like you could use deep fake technology to create videos that it looks like we're having. It might not even be me. This might
Yeah,
not even be me on a
exactly.
podcast, right?
Yeah,
This is a vishing version of
this
Rob here talking
this
to you
is
about
the M Night
Y2K.
Shyamalan, you might drop here, is like, we're fake right now.
Right. This
You
is what's
know.
happening. But like there's the spear fishing where it's like someone that knows. So you think of a spear you can
Oh
actually
yeah.
go after. Fishing would just be like throw the line and hope someone bites at it. Spear fishing is like you have very specific information on someone and you can go after them with very pointed attacks to try to get them to provide it. Like it is wild.
Yep.
You think about the text messaging. I think that's smishing is like SMS, right?
Yes.
So people texting you for information,
Constant.
pretending to be someone that you know, or like a daughter texting their mom asking for money because they're out and way, like they need money to get out of a situation. That it's
Or you get a text from the president of your company saying, "Hey, I've run into a situation. Can you send me your card because
Yeah, or I
you
need a
know."
$500 Amazon gift card to give to this donor that I'm at dinner
Yes,
with.
yes,
Yeah, it's
you
weird.
know,
It's a weird
and
thing.
the other one we could say we could go on, but the whole idea of a data breach to where you didn't do anything, it was your bank or your credit card or some store that you dealt with, you know,
Mhm.
got
Hacked.
attacked.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
and those are
now
the
they
ones you
have
hear about.
all yes, and you hear about them weekly because they send you these emails.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry,
Yeah, how many
so and
class
so and
action
so.
lawsuits are you a part of?
Oh my
Because
gosh, it's
right,
unreal. You
like
know,
I think
I
Equifax. I'm expecting an Equifax payment. Apple,
yes.
Target.
It's
It's
like
like,
I have
what?
monitoring for the next 20 years because you
Yeah,
get a free
I'm
year
set.
of monitoring.
But then the monitoring company is going to get hacked, and then what?
Yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
just a
So,
never-ending cycle.
yeah, when we talk about, our Y2K doesn't sound so bad.
No, our clocks
We,
got a little messed up.
our
So-
clock, exactly. I think they said there was a few stoplights that didn't work. Ooh,
Ooh
scary.
no! Oh, that's so good. The conversation around it too, like if you think about just how big it got, are there other examples? We talk about cybersecurity, but
Mhm.
like the way that Y2K sort of, I hate to put it on the same par as this, but like, I think of what Y2K did to pop culture and did to businesses at the time and
Mhm.
all these other facets of life. Like the coronavirus
Yeah,
and COVID
yeah,
is probably the best example more recently of like something that was a on a global scale
yep,
that impacted everyone's lives in myriad ways. And actually was a legitimate virus.
yes,
Was making
it
people
was.
sick. Not our computers, but actual individuals.
Yeah, I originally had thought about that as well. It is just so much worse because of,
Oh,
the loss of life
yeah.
aspect of it. But if you just look at the disruption of
Yeah.
not knowing, I mean,
Right.
literally a week before, you know, you may have heard something, we traveled
Yeah. I
maybe a
I
month
remember
before you and I were together
yeah, we
and
were
we
in
Houston.
Houston in February, and then
Mhm.
like I think even before the first rumblings I caught of it,
Mhm.
um, not caught it
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware, but hearing of it, where I was at CES, a
You went
very
to
large,
CES in
I would yeah,
January. That's
which
right.
I'm pretty certain
Yeah.
that's where it came into the U.S.
Absolutely.
Like I think
Yeah.
you talk about super spreader events and a global just environment of people coming
Yep.
together from Asia,
Mhm.
Europe, everywhere, South
Everywhere.
America, like everywhere came together. It doesn't get talked about until there was that cruise ship
Mhm.
that was, docked and people were forced to stay on it. And then I
But it was
remember
in
like,
Asia as well,
right,
We don't
right,
have
it was
anything to
there.
worry about.
No, and
It's
then all of a
in the
sudden
other
it's
side of the
like it
world.
shows up in Washington, like
Mhm.
Spokane, Washington, like the West Coast, and then all of a sudden it felt like it started to move this way.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a thing until it was a thing, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden like the world gets shut down, and
World.
next thing you know, we're still talking about it 5 years later.
Yeah. So the difference is the result was 10,000 billion
Right.
times worse because it did last
Oh, and there
for
wasn't like a
multiple
chance to
years.
prepare. Like it's
No,
not like we
we
didn't
did
see
not
it
have
coming.
what was the act you said that Clinton signed?
The
The
Y2K
a
or the 2000
preparedness.
per yeah, right,
Yeah,
whatever that was.
whatever. Yeah, we didn't
That
get
thing.
that.
No, we
No,
did not. So
we had not kicked. Maybe a doctor or something would say, "Well, we knew viruses were coming. We kicked the can down the road for whatever." Maybe they can, but for us lay folk, no, we had no preparation like we did for this at least. But yeah, I thought the same thing as far as like,
yeah,
you know, what we were afraid of with Y2K never happened.
right.
What happened with the
It was almost like the
coronavirus?
reverse, right? It
It
was like,
was
there's no reason to be
exactly.
afraid. This isn't gonna be, it's a cold or whatever. We'll get
Yes,
over it. And all of a sudden,
yes.
boom.
And then
Like,
6 months later, you're still sitting and you can't go anywhere, and you're like, "When is the world coming back?" And,
right?
why are we playing the Super Bowl with no fans and all these crazy things going on? Y
Yeah.
it will that will have an effect for like ever.
Generations.
Exactly. Exactly. But I will say this, and I've been to sites where, you know, day to live for infamy forever is December 7th,
Yep.
1941. Nothing lives forever. That generation is almost gone. I've
Yeah.
gone and paid my respects there, uh, but I still don't have that same feeling that what FDR said that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't have the same feeling of Y2K. Now it's almost like a joke. Oh, huh, that's funny. 25 years from now, when a generation of kids who will be 25 who did not grow up with the coronavirus won't even understand what it was.
Be
That's
in
just their
history
world.
books.
It will be. And so that's the weird thing about all of these things, these massive events that, you talk about $500 billion spent to stop something that I bet if you asked a 25-year-old who did not live through it, they may not even know what you're talking about,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So that's
Instead, they're
the
gonna Google it and they're gonna find out it's a clothing brand.
exactly. It's like, oh yeah, Y2K. I've got their shirt. Their shirt? What are you talking about? So anyway, that's a fascinating thing about you said it before, history keeps going.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. So um we will live our entire lives like my grandmother lived her entire life talking about the depression. It never went away from her, and she would talk about what they did when they lived through it, and it didn't mean anything to me because I didn't. I will live the rest of my life going, yeah, I know what it was like to live through the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So that's a fascinating way to look at it. But I love the idea of the reverse.
Right.
We had no time to prepare and it was awful. We had 30
Too
years
much
to
time to prepare.
prepare and then yeah, it turned out to be nothing. But anyway,
Crazy. Well,
fascinating topic.
I don't know that this is one we should talk about our favorite era, right? It's like one of those. Do you do that? I know that's like our thing, right? Our shtick with the twisted
Yeah,
eras is
yeah.
to,
I don't even know if you can say favorite.
right? Like,
Now it's just darker now.
yeah,
And I don't want to make light of nuclear war because it's really
no,
bad. And we thought we had gotten rid of it, and now you hear stuff you don't know. Who knows? But it just this when we're joking about it on The Simpsons and we're joking about it on Family Guy, and it's in commercials. We're not joking about it in pop culture right now, are we? Is
no.
there?
I think we're still in that too soon era. So,
Yes,
like, I think it's too soon to say something, right? You
yes,
regularly ask, like, people joke about it still being too soon to joke about the Titanic. Like, I don't
right,
know if that, like, we're probably fine. It's
yeah,
110 years removed of
yeah,
it, say 111 years this year,
yes,
of it removed from it sinking.
yeah.
Jack and Rose, I think, are fine with us cracking a joke here or
They're
there
good. They're
about
good.
it.
You know.
It'll take a while. I don't know that we are there yet by any stretch.
So,
Um,
but I will say, you know, if you could go back and live in that, the 25 years ago and go through this, I think it'll be better than kind of going through the whole.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. There's
it's
that.
just darker now with the whole ransomware and spyware and data breaches and phishing scams. I look forward to a two-digit.
This is one
Um,
of those. It's like the times were simpler.
Times were definitely simpler.
We did not have as much to worry about.
Did not have so much to worry about. Didn't know what we were worrying about in the first place.
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean? Airplanes are going to fall from the sky? It was ridiculous. It was never going to happen, right? And it didn't. So I'm not going to say it's my favorite era, but it definitely it seems more simple
Wasn't
than
that
what we go
now?
through.
All this talk about airplanes falling from the sky. This is off on such a
Uh oh.
different tangent.
Yes.
Wasn't there an M Night movie recently that like this family was kidnapped in a house and they had the chance to like save people, and one of the ways they could save people is from like a plane falling out of the sky?
Wow. You got me there, buddy. The
Oh
last the
no!
last M Night I saw was the one with Josh Hartnett where he goes to the concert and the concert is fake to
Knock at the cabin.
knock at
That's
the
the movie.
cabin.
So 2023, and
Okay.
it's why I remember because it's got Dave Batista in it. So he's
The
in it, and they
the Guardians of the Galaxy dude.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
WWE Dave, come on, but that's what I think of. Um, but he's in it. There's like these
Okay.
people. It's kind of like a cult, and they show up at this cabin where this family's vacationing, and um, they essentially like kidnap them and ask them to I don't want to spoil the thing,
Sure.
but like they ask them to do certain things
Spoiler
in order
alert
to
here.
save people, save things from happening. And they've got like one TV where they're watching the news, and it's like, well, if you don't do this thing, like something bad's gonna happen. And all of
Oh
a sudden they
gosh.
don't do the thing, and then something bad happens. And one of the things is a plane falls out of the sky or like explodes midair or something like that. So, that's why, weird one to end on.
That is.
But
Well,
hey,
let's
I'll
end.
give you, it's a good one to go see. So
Let's
that's
we'll end uplifting. Happy New Year,
right. Yeah,
everybody.
right.
Thanks
No,
again. We've
as
put
always.
out gosh, the content that we put out this year has been it's been awesome. We've gotten ideas from you guys. We would love to hear more. I'd love to hear some of my, you know, era folks. What did they remember about Y2K?
Man,
Did they have to go through a complete training session of a new software that was actually an old green screen software that they had played on an Apple II in 1981? You know, did anybody else have that kind of experience? Does anybody else remember any pop culture that I missed
sure,
from
there's
that?
plenty,
There's
right?
got to be. There's got to be. But yeah, I would love to hear it. And as always, as we go, we're going to go to a new season. We're working on things we think you'll like, but we'd love to hear ideas too.
Yeah, it's just been hey, for me and you, it's been a fun ride, man. This is
Yes,
like a
it has.
crazy to look back at. I think it's been a year of producing content and episodes and working with you on it. It's been a lot of fun. It's
Yes.
awesome to stay connected and be able to do it. And we
Agreed.
got these means to produce episodes and just continue to spitball like we've always spitballed. This has been
Yes.
a ton of fun. Look forward to continuing to do it. And hey, until next season, keep it twisted.